illallah.
Next prayer will be by Hindu prayer, Councilman Rahi Joshi.
Hariyo ano badraha pratbhujanto vishvato dabdaso aparitas udvidaha devanam badrasu matirjuyatam deva the ayuratino divartitam devanam sakhyamupase dhima vayan deva the ayuh pratirandu jivase. May noble thoughts come to us from every side. May we become strong so that unwanted elements do not disturb us. O God, provide us with the highest intelligence and lasting friendship so that we protect ourselves in all directions and may live with full span of our lives. The prayer says everything. We have to get the peace in our mind. Just 3 sentences I will tell you. To get the peace in your mind, you have to make commitments, 3 commitments with your life. Just, I will not be angry, I'll be honest, and I will be helpful to the living entity. And that will you get the peace within you, and that you can spread out everywhere. Thank you.
Okay. Powerful prayer to get us started. Isn't that wonderful?
Right.
All right. Now, we are in the Shepherd's House, and we are going to have a welcome address by Brian Anderson, who is the founder and CEO of Shepherd's Hope. So let's welcome Mr.
I'd like to welcome you all to the center of Chicago and Englewood, and thank Tony Preckwinkle for being with us today. He's a leader, been a leader of injustice throughout her career, and she also is a promoter of nonviolence. We are so happy to have her with us today on this joyous occasion. I'd also like to thank Neil Patel of MedStar and Discount Tire for their partnership with us on this journey. I'm Brian Anderson, the Executive Director of Shepherd's Hope, the owner and operator of the Center of Chicago and Englewood. Shepherd's Hope started its journey in this community in 2008, opened a food pantry in 2009, and we have been here ever since. The beginning of the journey, we were in a small 1,000 square foot bungalow at 5732 South Low, and we served approximately 250 people a week. Today at this building here, through our food pantry and feeding center, we serve 5,000 to 6,000 people a week here. We have 18 other ministries that we partner with, and they range from after-school programs, daycare, to medical clinics, mental health services, to boots on the ground, which are outreach ministries, to sewing classes, to basketball clinics every day, where we serve the community by interfacing with the youth and the teenagers in this community through Basketball by Blue. And we also have three churches in the building, and we're and this I just want to preempt that we started this ministry by feeding one homeless person, a homemade lunch, and it blossomed into this because of our obedience to doing that. We are looking forward to this journey with Dr. VJ, the Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence. It falls into what we've been working on for the past 2 years, what we call the Healing Englewood program, where we go out and build relationships with the community, number one. Second, we go out and we're going to round up all the teenagers and youth and young adults in this community for Friday night events every Friday night, where we'll have guest speakers, movies, and on every fourth Friday, we'll get together with people who were gang leaders, gangbangers, drug dealers, and victims of violence who've turned their lives over to the Lord, and to share their story. And then they will have a question and answer session afterwards, and also have a refreshments where we bring our 18 ministries down to meet the children and the adults in the neighborhood and take them, hopefully develop relationships so they have somebody to go to other than the gangs in the community. We also have our part of that program is vocational attributes, where we're going to be teaching carpentry, electrical, and plumbing to the youth and to the young adults and teenagers in the community. And then the third step is we're going to through food, where we'll be teaching people how to hydroponic farm, and how to build a hydroponic farm and to raise their own fresh produce, as well as what we call culinary health, where we teach people how to cook food so they can stay healthy through food instead of relying on big pharma and the doctors every other week. And that is an exciting program, and it fits right into what we're doing with the Ghandi King initiative, so we can keep these kids off the streets and the violence will be limited through that. So I'd like to welcome all of you, and I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you so much. Isn't that awesome what he's doing in the community? Yes. So now we will go on and have opening remarks by Brother R. Rahim.
Yeah.
Founding Director, Midwest Coalition to Stop Violence. Can't get any better than that in the Inglewood community. Thank you.
I don't need a mic. I want to first thank God for being here. Thank God for you all being here. I want to honor my Cook County Board President, for being here. I'm delighted you're here. Like I said, everyone else, she's on the board. Delighted to all of you all. And I'll ask you a question before I get started. Are y'all cars safe outside? It is now. Yes. It is now. This is Inglewood. If you know anything about Inglewood, it's not the best place to live in. Got a lot of bad people on Inglewood. But you take people like myself, the man back to the Black Feds, Benny Bay, young man right here, Broken Wings, Eric Wilson, young man like this young man right here. Who are you? You breaking your fixes. People have been victim of a lot of things. But right now, these people are doing a whole lot to fix the problem. It's just about here. These ones you don't hear about at all. These are the men that fight for you when you sleep. violence go on, they holler about go get the police, get the first responders. He's made a phone call to another person, gets the job done. They just in the trenches. Give me a moment. These guys will have to say to you all, and that is my remark. Thank you.
Like I said, my name is Dion Harden. I'm the founder of the Breakfast Foundation.
Good evening again, or good afternoon again.
Good afternoon.
I'm Dion Hardy, the founder of the Breakfast Foundation, which is a community organization that's designed around ex-convicts like myself, who spent the majority of our youth destroying the community. But now we're taking initiative to fix what we broke. And we're no longer relying on outside sources to fix the problems that we create. If we break them, we fix them. That's why I named it the Breakfast Foundation. And under the tutelage and the mentorship of the Midwest Coalition, we've been doing a great job in the community. And we're going to use this school as the hub for change in not just Inglewood, but all over the city. And we thank you guys for coming out, and we look forward to working with you. Please.
I'm one who don't need a microphone. First of all, I want to give praise due to Allah, who is the also creator and governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. I want to give praise due to God for this session and the King of Ghandi, manifestation of love. We are fighting every day to deal with society in a way that can't be said with words. We are on the battlefield. We don't give in and we don't give up. We haven't asked for anything because we're learning to love instead of hate. So I just want to give honor to all the distinguished guests that's here. And I trust that what we bring out here is an uplifting for humanity. But I do have one thing to say. We have to start looking at those who are out here working and doing the work, who are suffering as well. I don't work for anybody. I work for the streets. I work to clean up my brothers because I was once in there. I'm not a corner. I'm a guide. And I trust many of you are. So I want to just thank the Creator, the King and Ghandi. Nonviolent is the way. We have to learn that, though. We have to have a society that produces that. We cannot say one thing and demonstrate something contrary. Thank you, and may God continue to bless you and hold fast your
Well, I don't need one either. I don't even know I'm gonna even pick it up. Thanks for inviting me. My name is Eric Wilkins. I'm the founder of the Broken Wings Foundation. Well, we're a support group for victims of gun violence who get shot and paralyzed. That's what happened to me. I have braces on both of my legs, and I was shot put in a wheelchair. And thank Brother Brian. I met him maybe about 10 years ago. I'm from Rhodes. I met him about 10 years ago, and he invited me, cuffed me like a nephew or a stepson, and we grew into this. But what we also do, we hold people accountable for their actions. I'm a part of the consent decree. I'm working with the independent monitoring team now to monitor the CPD. We help to design safe passage for CPS with JD and Child. We did the wrongful raise for Antoinette Young to help her get her money. We're the part of the victims who the survivors, correction, the survivors who don't really get the publicity, or we get the work done. We hold each other. We hold each other accountable for the actions. We also are a part of putting the trauma unit together over at the University of Chicago Hospital. Now we're working with the trauma doctors. With the trauma doctors with their structural justice program, which is a stop the bleed program. They come out to the communities and they show people how to put on tourniquets. And we were able to get the interns and the doctors to come to our neighborhoods and show kids how to put on tourniquets. We're changing the narrative of our lives. We have friends. At least, I want to say over half of my friends have kids who have been lost to gun violence. So with the trauma doctors are burnt out. We also work with Dr. Walker over at the Laurie's children. You know, these doctors are overwhelmed with the trauma. So we're trying to find a position where they can help us, we can help us. You guys can help us. You know, and it's working. You know, look at this facility. It started from a dream. I did the walkthrough when he was just talking about buying. Now it's up and running. You know, so this could be the mecca to start, not only the hub to start, not just here, but for all the city, all the different little spots in the city. We have too many schools that were closed down in 2012 that are not being revamped. And this is one of the schools that I can say it was working. You know, because the community here is standing up together and they're talking. They're putting the neighbor back into the neighborhood. Thank you.
These brothers are awesome. Give them another hand. For the community. We are going to be, where is my little jewel? Oh, jeez. We're going to receive Christiana Gray, an 11-year-old pearl from my area of South Howell. She is a poet and just a flourishing young lady right now. And she is going to give tribute. And we want to receive her. Let's give her a hand. She's 11 years old.
Hi, I am Christiana Gray, and I am hyena happy, peacock proud, and elephant elated to be here with all of you distinguished guests. And now, I will be reciting for you a poem entitled Being Black in the Workplace by an anonymous author. They take my kindness for weakness. They take my silence for speechless. They consider my uniqueness strange. They call my language slang. They consider my confidence as conceit. They take my mistakes as defeat. They consider my success accidental. They minimize my intelligence to potential. My questions mean I'm unaware. Any advancement is somehow unfair. Any praise is preferential treatment. To voice concern is discontentment. If I stand up for myself, I'm too offensive. If I don't trust them, I'm too apprehensive. I'm defiant if I separate. Yet I'm fake if I assimilate. So constantly, I am faced with workplace hate. My character is constantly under attack. Pride for my race makes me too black. Yet, I can only be me. And who am I, you might ask? I am Tony Pratt. Proclaiming my uniqueness, and I am confident that I can be everything I want to be. In the spirit and iconic voice of God, I, Christiana Gray, am sending out a clarion call to Chicago to shoot for your dreams and not your neighbor, to shoot for truth and not the teachers, to shoot for peace and not my peers, to shoot for achievement so that my generation and other young people won't have to ask the question, will I be the next victim? Thank you.
How powerful was that
Hello, Dr. Beecher.
young, vibrant, just awesome, just awesome. Okay, so we're going to continue on with our agenda and our program because we know that you have more things to do today. So with that being said, the next speakers that come up, remember, short, concise, and powerful, okay? So next, we're going to have Dr. Sriram Santi, ophthalmologist, Vice President of Ghandi Memorial Foundation in Skokie. He will be presenting on deep insights into the Gandhi King legacy. Dr. Santi.
Namaste. Greetings from Indians abroad in USA. I used to think when I coming onto the stage that we are very insecure. But after listening to Christiana Gray, I know future is beautiful, wonderful, and good. I'm here to talk about the Gandhi King connection, the bridge between two generations. Right now, we are in the fifth generation of Gandhi, by chronologically speaking. And Gandhi is fading away from the face of the world because of different reasons. Now it is time to think. Right now, we have a trinity in the peace of non-violence movement started by Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr. in USA, and Nelson Mandela in South Africa. As we all know, I want to relate to one historical incident, Madam Preckwinkle. On June 7th, 1893, at 9 p.m., on a Wednesday, Mohandas Gandhi was evicted from first class compartment because he was colored. Remember that date, June 7th, 1893, 9 p.m. on a Wednesday. He came there to defend a case between two Indian brothers who are businessmen because he knows their mother tongue and he's a lawyer trained in Britain. So he was brought over to deal with the case. And he was traveling from Durban to Pretoria. And on the way, he was given first class ticket because he's a British trained lawyer. Then you know what happened. Mohandas Gandhi was thrown out of the compartment because he was colored. And I want to give you one statistic before I go further. One is, as of November 2022, we are 8 billion on this earth. Let me repeat. On November 2022, we are 8 billion on this earth, out of which 4 billion are breathing freedom because of what happened on that night. Because he showed a way to fight institutional racism. And he showed the way to Martin Luther King. He showed the way to Nelson Mandela. Leave alone India's independence. That's a very significant part in the global history. Though I am Indian. My thinking is, on that day, he had three thoughts in mind. First thought, many of us just run away from the problem or the challenge, like a coward. He didn't take that decision. Second thought, he came to finish his duty as a responsibility to defend the case. He did not take that as his champion. Last, he said what he did was, he stayed there 20 years of his prime life to spend there to erase institutional racism across the globe. Let me repeat that. And that incident we are celebrating as a 130th anniversary at the train station this year, June 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th, including a youth session from all over the globe to come. So let me tell that last but not the least, the connection between Gandhi and King is, Dr. Martin Luther King said, Gandhi has learned the love ethic from Jesus. Gandhi has read all the religious journals and magazines and books. Gandhi has learned the love ethic of Jesus. And actually, Jesus showed the method, but Gandhi showed the means. And importantly, so we all should believe and say that let's be the change we want to see in the world. Let us be thoughtful. Let us be mindful. Let us be truthful. Let us be hopeful. Let us be graceful. Let us be grateful. Let's all be peaceful. Thank you, one and all. Thank you. You can talk to me if you want to participate in that meeting. I want to invite every one of you if possible. And there is a possibility of a virtual session which you can present without being there. You can be there in philosophy, not in body. I'm pressing. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Santi. Let's give him another hand. And now we will have
Twin Green Facilitator.
Mr. Donald Dew, CEO of Habilitative Systems in Chicago. He will come and he will present his perspective of the plague of violence in Chicago's Inglewood area and the west side of Chicago. But before he comes, I want to tell you, Donald Dew is the CEO of Habilitative Systems, which is a vital Chicago-based behavioral health and human services organization, providing programs and services for thousands of children and families with special needs. And he is my friend, so I want you to welcome him greatly. Donald.
Thank you so much, Dr. Twin. Greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
It is indeed my pleasure to come before you today and to honor the opening of such a needful and purposeful center as the Ghandi King Center. Allow me to also thank my colleague, Dr. DJ, for their partnership, potential, and promise manifested today in the opening of the center. Now, in this prophetic work, where do we go from here? Dr. Martin Luther King asked the question, should it be about chaos or community? Chaos or community? Well, without any hesitation in our minds today, we know that the answer is in fact community. Common unity, us coming together to make change happen, to make peace happen in our day, and certainly for the generations to come. When we also look at Martin Luther King's legacy, he had plans. He had to take a break from the movement to write this book. He had to really conceptualize a strategy and to think in terms of what would really make a difference. And he spoke about in his book the need for a better future by providing better jobs, higher wages, decent housing, quality education. In fact, we would term many of those as social determinants of health. What would make us healthy and whole? So we know that violence in Inglewood and violence across this country and world is really a public health issue. And we realize that in Inglewood, crime is 125% higher than any other community within the city of Chicago. We also realize that violent crimes such as robbery, assault, and robbery are common. Well, you know, we can talk a lot about problems, but most of our time has got to be about the solutions. Come on. At Habilitative Systems Inc., for 45 years, we've been about solutions in our community, and this, of course, has been done primarily on the west and south sides of Chicago. We want to thank Madam President for her support in this effort by funding our West Side Community Triage and Wellness Center. We're also funding our Restorative Justice Program, and let me highlight that in over 3-year period of time, over 200 youth served, not one of those youth have gone back into the juvenile justice system. And those are the types of programs that can attract. Here in Inglewood, we've opened up the Urban Behavioral Health Services Institute to deal with the crisis of mental health. And we know that violence breeds many other issues within our community. Generational trauma, adverse childhood experiences. When you talk about over 60% of adults, 60% of adults have experienced some type of adverse childhood experience. We know that violence, in fact, breeds more violence, and we know that we need to breed more solutions. As I close, let me just say that this is about peace. Mahatma Ghandi, Martin Luther King, Jesus Christ, and others were all about peace and love. Well, guess who was else about it? And I know you know about this one, Madam President. They were the Four Tops. They talked about peace. That's right. Stillwater's peace, y'all. They had a piece called Stillwater's Peace. I'm not going to sing it, but I will recite the poem. P is for the privilege of loving and the privilege of being loved. E is for the ease it gives the soul and the mind. A is for the absence and search to find yourself. C is to calm your fears if you like what you find. And E is everlasting. Sisters and brothers, may this love never cease. Peace.
Thank you, Donald. Okay. Now, next, we will have Zoe Ma, Outreach Director of Bridget E. House of Hope Foundation in the Tri-Town area of Chicago. And she will be speaking on how vacant lots breed crime and violence in the community. Zoe?
Hello, my name is Zoe Ma. I'm the Outreach Director of Bridget G. House of Hope Foundation from Tri-Taylor area. 28 years ago, I came to United States to the graduate school at UIC. I lived to the next to the ABLA project. Beginning in the early 2000s, ABLA project was demolished and thousands of families has been displaced. Sadly, 20 years later, barely any affordable housing has been constructed, and those families cannot return to their homeland as they were promised. In 20 years, toddlers has grown into youth with a broken promise by the government. When we try to reduce violence and youth crime in the community, we should also investigate the roots of such social issues. The poverty and the lack of decent living environment in this neighborhood cause mental stress to today's youth and contribute to their violent behavior. Driving in the south side and west side, what strikes me most is the prevalence of vacant lots. Being a sociologist by training and real estate professional, I want to stress here, the vacant lots are the cancer of Chicago. Chicago housing market is being manipulated by the ownership of 15,000 vacant lots by the city of Chicago. Those vacant lots deplete the Black property values and perpetuate poverty in the south side and west side. Our organization advocates to train people in the south side, west side neighborhood to be mini developers of those vacant lots into affordable home ownership, so our inner city youth can grow up in decent home just like their peers living in the suburbs. Another program we propose is to lease and operate a youth retreat center in northeastern Wisconsin, north of Green Bay, where kids between 6 to 25-year-old can vacation and enjoy some time away from the stress of the city of Chicago to restore their mental well-being. I thank the Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence to order this event. We Asian Americans will work with African American organizations to end poverty and crime for a better Chicago.
Thank you, Zoe. All right, we are moving along. Next, we will have Dr. Abba Agawa, Chief Medical Officer of Humboldt Park Health in Chicago, speaking on how health inequity contributes to violence and crime.
Madam President, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say I actually had some remarks prepared, but I can't use them after hearing Christiana Gray. So I'm going to change everything, and here's what I want to say. You know, as the chief medical officer, I'm a physician, as chief medical officer at Humboldt Park Health, it's my responsibility to lead the diversity, equity, and inclusivity efforts. I want to say I've been working on this for the last 2+ years, how to bring diversity, inclusivity, and equity in our workplace. Nothing that I have done has been as good as the poem recited by Christiana Gray. I think you could be the role model for our workforce, and I would invite Christiana, if you are still here, to talk to our staff. what diversity, equity, and inclusivity truly means. So thank you for that. I talk about social determinants of health, food, housing security. Nothing is as good as the example shown to us today by Shepherd's Hope in their food pantry and what they are doing for this community. We talk about accountability and making a change. Nothing is more powerful than what I heard from you break it, you fix it, and the broken wings, and what they are doing by leading us by example. So I'm truly humbled, I'm truly inspired before I even can say anything. It's a great initiative, the Gandhi King Center for Nonviolence. It commemorates two of the greatest impact makers, thinkers, people who changed the course of history, who led their people from the most formidable forces of oppression, but not through armies, not through weapons, but that most potent weapon, which is nonviolence and love. As I think of what's going on around us, and I was listening to everyone, the violence is not only guns and shootings and murders and wars. The violence is also poverty and hunger and inequities in health and inequities in health outcome, inequities in access to housing, inequities in being able to see a doctor. And that's the kind of violence I want to partner with you all in eliminating here through eliminating health disparities. And it's real. It costs lives, it costs money. If you look at the life expectancy between the Loop and Inglewood, you go back 7 decades in time. I drove from the Loop to here. I drove 2 decades in time just in a matter of 20 minutes. The life expectancy in Inglewood is about what life expectancy was in the rest of the country or an affluent neighborhood 7 decades ago. We cannot afford that. It costs us as a country $230 billion because some of our citizens do not have the same quality of health outcome. We cannot afford that anymore. I think you mentioned I'm a doctor. It hurts me to say, but only 20% of a community and a person's health is influenced by what we do directly as a doctor, as hospitals. Rest 80% is what is being done here today. The social determinants of health, the behavior, the safety, the access to food, the housing, the economic stability. And that's what you are doing. You are partnering with somebody like me, somebody like hospitals, to make sure the communities, the people live healthily. And that's the legacy. That's the legacy of nonviolence that we want to commemorate today to make sure there is no violence in health and healthcare. Nobody said it more eloquently than Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You all know his words that he made in March in 1966 to the Medical Committee for Human Rights. And he said, of all the inequalities in the world, injustice in health is most shocking. And he said, most inhuman. He did not say most inhumane. Inhumane would be gentle, would be softer. He's saying the egregiousness of health inequity. It's inhuman, it's subhuman for us to have what we have in this country today. So, again, drawing from Dr. King, drawing from Mahatma Gandhi ji, I believe we are all connected, we are all dependent on each other, we are all driven by the ethic of love. So let's work together so that we have no more the violence of health inequity amongst us and our citizens. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Okay, now we will hear from Dr. Zenobia Sowell, Chair of Bethel Mennonite Community Church of Chicago and a dentist. See her pretty smile? Who needs some work to see her. She will be speaking on inadequate affordable housing and food insecurity spikes, violence, and crime in Chicago. How that happens. Dr. Sowell. Let's give her a hand.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I was so pleased when I heard that the Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence was being opened here in Inglewood. My father was a pastor. He's gone on to be with God now, but his first church was just a few blocks from here, Inglewood Mennonite Church on 68th and Green. My husband and I now serve in the Avila community on 14th, just off 14th and Ashland. And looking back, I was about maybe 7 or 8 years old when my father was pastoring in Inglewood. And I remember a very peaceful time, a time when we could go out and play. We could visit people in the community, no fear of violence around us. At least we weren't aware of it. But, being on the west side, some 40, 50 years later, I've been very acutely aware of the violence that goes on in our community. It's changing some now, but we lost many of our members' children to violence right in front of our church doorsteps. And it's very painful. Guns have no power, but the people behind them do. And so we have to think like Ghandi spoke, like Dr. Martin Luther King taught, like they both thought and taught, that it's right over here. Can somebody read that for me? Oh, here it is right here. In a gentle way, you can shape the world. So as we think about ways that we resolve conflict, teaching our children, you don't have to pick up a knife or a gun. Use words. You can be angry and still not sin. And still not violate somebody's life. But we have to teach our children those kinds of things. I applaud Mr. Anderson for what you're doing here in the community. And as I think about the things that make for a community, it's common unity. But the things we have to think alike and practice alike is nonviolence. You can be very angry, but you don't have to kill someone. You don't have to kill them with your words. You don't have to kill them with a gun or a knife. We have to learn to love. As difficult as that might be, there are ways if we believe in that. My father was a conscientious objector in the war, and he said, when they offered him a gun, he said, I choose not to carry a gun. And he said, Sal, so well. I say so well now, but he said, Sal, what if everybody in the world felt like you do? And he said under his breath, there would be no war. Because we have to think nonviolence so that we can practice nonviolence. One of the mantras of our church is hope, health, and healing. If your mind is not right, if your mind is thinking violent thoughts, you eventually will act on those things. And so I know I'm probably singing to the choir, but these are things that we can teach. We can live them ourselves, but we can teach others to practice them as well. So I just want to say I'm very happy for what I'm seeing here, and we would like to see this spread among other communities. Started on the south side here in Inglewood. I'm now on the west side. And the things that are human rights, I say human rights, are housing, healthy foods, not just food, not just junk food, but food that can nourish the body, because when the body is nourished, so is the mind. As one thinketh, so is he, or so is she. So as we leave this place today, let's do better in speaking nonviolent words and thinking nonviolent thoughts and loving on each other in ways that are meaningful, in the ways that we can see our communities change. Can we do that?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Sorrell. So our last speaker is Blue Pacheco.
Pacheco Coronel.
Cornet. He's going to say it right. Founder, coach of 3B Basketball by Blue, who has a basketball program right here in this facility. And he will be speaking on engaging neighborhood students and youth.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. Thank you for everyone at this table. Appreciate the opportunity to speak today. And for me, well, really, I've been operating this building now for the last 3-4 years. So I actually have a program called Freebie Basketball by Blue. And it's a basketball program not just for children as young as 3, 4, 5 years old, but we actually have a lot of collegiate athletes that come out here. We have a lot of professional athletes that come work with me as well. And basketball has always been an outlet for myself. It's always been an outlet for a lot of youth in Chicago, considering a lot of people call it the mecca of basketball. And it's just another way to engage them, another way to reach them, another way to just keep them, off the streets and give them a safe place to be. And for me, the biggest thing that we like to teach through the basketball instruction is just SEL learning, social emotional learning. We like to make sure they understand the importance of incorporating that work ethic that they put in basketball to other areas in their life. So that's really the big picture of what I do. And it's the message that we preach every day, not just to the young athletes, but also to the parents. Because if the parents aren't engaged, the children aren't going to be engaged. So I'll just leave everyone with this. We always want to criticize children, teens, young adults for all the mistakes and things that they're doing out in the streets. Where are they learning it from? Thank you.
I'm not going to say his name behind him because he already said it correctly. So that is the power of today and now of speakers. This is the power hour right now, the real power hour right now. And this afternoon we have had such a wonderful and amazing event of speakers. We've heard from the little Pearl Christiana talking about being Black in the workforce. We had several community activists and leaders giving us their perspectives of what contributes to violence today in the Inglewood area and beyond. As a daughter of Inglewood, I am proud to be standing in front of you to introduce the man with the vision and the man that has made all of this possible, Dr. BJ. Dr. BGB. Since Dr. BJ and I have known each other, we have worked together for many common community issues and on many common community issues. We started the Citizens Action Alliance of Behavioral Health with the support of NetStar Lab, headed by Mr. Neil Patel. Then we went on to several other initiatives. It's heroic, but it's historic that we are here today celebrating during the first day of African American history. I said that in my opening and you all didn't respond. Are we not in this room representing the African American culture? So, launching the first Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence is truly an inaugural event in this community. This has taken a lot of work, a lot of prayers, a lot of collaborating together. 12 organizations have come together to make sure that we are able to breathe resources into Inglewood. And I think, if I'm not wrong, this Ghandi King Center is the first in the whole North America. There are several Ghandi Peace Institutes, there are several King Institutes, several Ghandi King chairs, but no single Ghandi King Center specifically dedicated to nonviolence. I'm going to put it here for a minute because I want to give some shout out here. And I will vividly remember when Dr. BJ and I first met, and how he, as graceful as he is, affectionately he calls Ms. Toni Preckwinkle the Iron Lady of America. And I think she holds that title. She holds that title very well. Only Dr. BJ can get away with saying that and know from his heart. And she can receive it respectfully. There are a lot of accolades that I can talk about are Dr. VJ. But I know one thing for sure, he is a visionary. He is a very spiritual person. And he is able to bring people to the table to talk. He is able to bring leaders to the table to listen, and then others will talk. That's why our dear Cook County Board President, Tony Prewinkle, is here today, and she has been here all this time. She is not that much. She is rooted in Cook County. This is her whole area, and she has worked tirelessly to make sure that Cook County gets what it needs. And she is here committing herself and her office and all the resources that she has to make sure that this Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence is able to do what it is visioned to do by Dr. VJ Prabhakar. So I am so excited to be the person to have Dr. VJ to come to the podium and give his presidential address to all of us. Dr. VJ.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Twin Green, for those wonderful remarks. We are running behind time. I'd like to quickly tell you all what the Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence is a collaborative initiative of 15 different institutions. It will be housed in this center, the Shepherd's Hope, and we'll be planning to work very closely with Brother Rahim and the Midwest Coalition to Stop Violence. And they are the ones, like you heard from him, who do every day-to-day mediation, crisis intervention. In addition to that, we plan to have meditation classes, yoga classes, wellness screenings. We address the health inequity and also the food inequity issue, which Brian Anderson, the founder and CEO of Shepherd Hope, is very dearly passionate about. We launched today for the first time a 14-foot mobile community food pantry. And this food pantry, which is the brainchild of Brian Anderson, and he has been talking about for 2 years. We got funding from Discount Tire, who gave us $40,000. And it's going to be supported by MedStar, because today is also February 1st, 2023 is MedStar's 22nd anniversary. The two brothers, Neil and Raj Patel, when they took it over in 2000, and they wanted to do something special for the community for Englewood and Chicago. In December of 2022, they did launch the MedStar Golden Diners, Gourmet Diners program in Donald Dew's HSI, 2 senior centers, Enola Dew, and for 100 senior citizens. Every month, the last Friday of the month, MedStar provides a gourmet dining experience for the citizens at their senior centers. It's not just one time a year, but they're doing it throughout the year. So please give it up to the MedStar, and they are one of the largest minority-owned laboratory, and their motto is giving back to the community. They serve over 800 clinics today, and they are growing, and they have about 400 employees, and 85% of them are Black. So that's a special thing. And Neil and Raj wanted to do something special for Black History Month and for commemorating the 22nd anniversary. And so we decided to launch the Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence today. And we got cooperation from everybody put together. And we were thinking, who should launch this project? We have a meeting together, Brian Anderson, Brother Rahim, all of us, Mr. Barack also was there with us, and we think should we invite the governor, the mayor, but we all decided we should have somebody who really believes and acts the talk of the principles of Gandhi and King. And that's none other than the Iron Lady of America, who's with us, the charming, vibrant, and dynamic president of the Cook County Board, Ms. Toni Prewinkle. She has we all know that Madam President Toni Prewinkle has done governance with compassion. She had brought
physical stability to the Cook County government. There are numerous accomplishments what she has done. And one accomplishment which I'd like to, before handing over the mic to President Tony Preckwinkle, is to talk about how well she handled the COVID pandemic. None of it has been publicized. It's, I think, the best kept secret in town, because she, in her own way, has able to provide the COVID testing, the COVID vaccines for the whole Cook County without the daily press briefings and publicities the other elected officials did. And it was one of the best in the whole country, the way she managed the COVID pandemic, not only with the John Stroger Hospital, but through all her health centers, making sure everybody gets the COVID testing. If you recall, 2 years ago during the pandemic, it was tough to get a testing date, tough to get the vaccines, but she did an outstanding job. And she's one who, when problems are faced, she gets viable solutions, and she's, during the whole COVID pandemic, the tenacity of the tech met with the audacity of the administration. And that is Dr. President Tony Preckwinkle. Please give her a welcome. A lady who loves to talk and who believes and acts like Gandhi and Mahatma and Gandhi and King.
Please sit down. Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
You've been very patient. I'll be brief. 60 years ago, Martin Luther King wrote an article in Ebony. Some of us in this room are old enough to remember Ebony magazine. He wrote an article about his trip to India, and where he'd spoken at universities and colleges and at public meetings and met with the political leadership, and how impressed he was by the warm welcome that he got everywhere he went. And he said the trip had a big impact on him personally. He said that returning from India, he was convinced that nonviolent resistance was the most potent weapon available to oppressed people in their struggle for freedom. I'm going to read that again. Nonviolent resistance was the most potent weapon available to oppressed people in their struggle for freedom. So there's a connection between Martin Luther King and his good work in this country to challenge us to meet the ideal of equality for all, and India, because he took as his mentor and his philosophical kind of bedrock, Mahatma Gandhi. No community can be strong if it's not safe. And we have some real challenges in Chicago because many people in our neighborhoods do not feel safe. And it's not unreasonable they don't feel safe. We have about 77 community areas in Chicago, and about 12 to 15 of them are where most of the violence takes place. So the violence is concentrated. It has an impact on those communities, but it has an impact on our city and our county and our region. Because we have a reputation nationally for being a place where people get murdered every weekend, right? I mean, I talk to my family on Sunday nights and they routinely ask me whether I'm safe, right? Because they've heard so much about the violence of the streets of Chicago. So that violence impacts not just those communities, but our reputation nationally and our ability to attract people here who want to work or who want to start a business, or people who want to expand a business. It has an economic impact beyond the communities in which the violence takes place. And of course, it has a terrible, tragic impact on those neighborhoods and the people in those neighborhoods. Arnie Duncan tells a story. Arnie Duncan was a former head of the Chicago Public Schools. And he tells a story about visiting a classroom in Chicago and asking the young people to raise their hands if they know anybody who's been murdered. And every hand goes up. And then he said, keep your hand up, 2 people who've been murdered. And there's still hands. And he gets to 5 or 6 and there's still kids with their hands up. That trauma is carried with those kids for the rest of their lives. And we don't address that trauma in our neighborhoods. Cook County government spends half of its budget on healthcare. Half of our budget is healthcare. $8 billion, half of it is healthcare. We have one of the most well-regarded emergency rooms, trauma centers in the country. Why? Because they have so much experience dealing with gunshot wounds. I will tell you a bittersweet story. We train young people in the Navy for combat in our emergency room. Navy sends young people to our emergency room to be trained, so they will know what it's like to treat combat wounds. Now, we're pleased that we're able to help our military in this way, but it's a tragedy that we have a hospital that's equivalent to a military hospital where you're treating gunshot wounds. So I'm grateful to the folks, the 15 collaborators who've put together the Ghandi King Center, because we have to do whatever we can in whatever ways we can to address the violence in our neighborhoods. We cannot have a strong city without strong neighborhoods, and we can't have strong neighborhoods unless they're safe. So thank you all for the good work you're doing.
Thank you, President Tony Preckwinkle. That is true commitment to our cause. Next, we will have, went out of order just a little bit, but next we're going to have the special guest, the presentation of the multi-ethnic. Okay, so we're going to do the check presentation.
No, special guest remarks.
Okay, special guest remarks and presentation of MedStar's check to Shepherd's Hope by the CEO of MedStar Laboratories, Neil Patel.
Because I want to start off by saying I'm not a great speaker like everybody else who's here today, but Lord knows I'm even happier. My name was not called out after Christina Gray. Fantastic poem. President Tony Preckwinkle and friends, I am happy to celebrate Black History Month along with all of you today. I was told by Black History Magazine the theme of Black History Month 2023 is Black Resistance. The theme explores how African Americans have resisted historically and ongoing opposition in all forms, especially the racial terrorism. What better way to honor Black History Month than by naming this Center for Nonviolence as Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence. Congratulations to all for joining hands in this endeavor to help reduce violence and promote peace in our city. Today is also the 22nd anniversary for my brother and I as we took over MedStar Laboratory in 2001. This is a joyous occasion to share with all of you. We, my brother and I, are pleased to make a contribution of $10,000 to MedStar Laboratory and Shepherd to support this unique community mobile food trailer which will deliver food at the doorsteps in the neighborhoods to those who cannot access food at this center. We at MedStar Laboratory believe in giving back to the community and help address food insecurity here. We will continue to support such good work being done in Greater Chicago. Wishing the entire team of the Ghandi King Center for Nonviolence all success to achieve their goals. Thank you.
Check is being presented now.
Can you please come here?
Yes,
Please.
the check,
Is there any way we can move the table or something?
$10,000 from MedStar Laboratories.
Hello, no, just let me check my video, please.
Come, Brian, please, on the, come on this side. We'd like you and Dr. Green, Raj. Yeah, you can stand behind. Yeah, that's good.
Can you come everybody closer, please? Hello, I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the video and I need everybody to cover, please. Hello. I'm sorry.
Mr. Ahmed, please come.
Come closer, please. Come closer. Sir, come behind. Sir, come behind, please. Hello. 60 seconds. Picture time, please.
Just 1 minute, please. Hello, hello, everybody, please look in here. Picture time.
Right.
Sir,
Midstar Laboratories.
sir, take the mask out, please. Sorry, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Let's give another hand to Midstar.
Please come up.
Wonderful donation of $10,000. That can go a long way.
Come this side. Come, Charles, come. John, please come. They work very, come this way. They work very well.
Sir, come closer. Sir, please come closer. I cannot go too far, please. I'm sorry. Okay, looks good, everything. Picture time. Please. Madam, you come in my picture, please. Yes. One more. Dr. Vijay. Dr. Vijay, you should be there, please. Thank you.
Okay. So we have one more presentation. Sita Bala, who is the event co-chair, will make a presentation of the Multi-Ethnic Advisory Task Force, which comes out of the 7th Congressional District of Congressman Danny K. Davis. And there will be medallions to the frontline warriors and community activists. Sita.
Thank you, Dr. Dean. Good afternoon, everyone. We now request the President, Tony Periwinkle, to present the Congressional Multi-Ethnic Advisory Task Force Medals of Honor to 4 frontline warriors who make a difference in Inglewood. VTIF was established under the leadership of Congressman Danny Davis, and Dr. Vijay Prabhakar is a founder chairman of VTIF since 2010. The first medal goes to Brother Rahim, founder director, Midwest Foundation, the Strong Rider, Chicago.
Brother, please look in here. Brother, please look in here.
Founder of Moorish Science Temple of America.
Grand Sheikh G.
Can you beg?
Can you beg? Please come.
Hello. Johnson, Medical Director, Hello. Community Center, Chicago.
Madam President, please.
Shaka Bharat, President of the Marcus Garvey Institute.
Come in the middle. You gotta come in the middle. Everybody come back.
Christina Gray. Next is Christina Gray, the 11-year-old student who, recited a great poem this afternoon. It was fantastic.
Come in, guys. Come.
Christina, there we go.
Come.
Hello, please. It's a picture time, please. Everybody, all the recipient, please. Hello. Dr. Vijay, please. One more.
You're blocking some people right there.
Okay, one more, last one, please. Sir, please, sir, look into the lens. Thank you.
I will have a group photograph of all of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sita Bala. Please give it up for Mr. Brother Rahim and Sita Bala. We did a wonderful job. We request all of you all, Mr. Cameron, all please come for a group photograph.
We need to move everything from here, both sides. All this stuff for a group picture. I'll give you Everybody should be behind. Everybody behind the chairs.
Please, all of you, this is all my